oh my god, I hope you're all well and hope you're having a lush week. Spring's definitely here, and I'm also sorry if you keep like losing where my hair is. Obviously I've got it in a bun and you'll probably see like half of my head soon, I don't know, but yeah. So I hope you're all well and hope you're having a lush week. I wanted to come on here. I've been meaning to come on here for ages. Excuse me sat in my pyjamas, by the way, on a Thursday afternoon. Just got myself ready literally to film this and to create a TikTok. Yeah, I've been meaning to do it for so long, and I've just never got round to it. Like, to be fair, I was out walking this morning with Frankie and it was torrential rain. The sun's out now, which is really nice, but I was thinking of what to say, and to be fair, I've not written anything down. I'm just going to go off the back of my head, so you'll probably see me like parts being cut out because I'm not sure what to say or if I remember or anything like that. But I'll just go from what I know, and I'm not going to go into like a few reasons what actually caused my anxiety, because I'm not going to do that on here because it wouldn't be right to, and I don't want to like include anything or like anyone. So yeah, also I'll be sipping on my Coke Zero, so please do excuse me. I'm a Coke Zero addict. I thought I was a Red Bull addict, but that soon changed. Anyway, so yeah, let's get into the video. So this video, I don't even think I've not even said like what this video is about. Anyway, I'm sat down, so it's going to be quite a deep one. No, basically, I've been meaning to come on here because people always mention like anxiety. Like if I do question stickers on Instagram, some people do say like if you ever had anxiety or like if you suffered from like anything postpartum, which obviously if you don't know what postpartum is, it means like just after you had a baby. But to be fair, postpartum I think can go up for like a couple of years after. People just say like, oh, I'm going through postpartum like baby blues or postpartum anxiety or anything. Like anyone can get anxiety though, obviously. Also health anxiety, so it is about both. This video I will insert some pictures as well of like, if I go back on my phone I've definitely got one or two of like things I can put in for like parts of this story that I'm going to tell you, because I don't really capture a lot of like bad things on my phone, like of me being upset, or I know I've seen some people before, they like video themselves like crying, like going through a hard time and stuff, which is absolutely fine, but I've never actually done that. I've done it like probably once or twice maybe, or took a picture of something that's worrying me and then kept it, but I usually delete things like that. Anyway, so yeah, I've had, I wouldn't say I've got anxiety now. Well, not that I think I have. To be fair, it's a really difficult one to know if you've actually got it or not, and I've never ever really been to a doctor, like phoning the doctor going, I think I've got anxiety, can you help me? But I'll go into detail on like what I've had and stuff. So yeah, mine all started obviously when I had Frankie, well, not obviously, when I had Frankie, so that was in 2021, 2 years ago. And I was thinking earlier when I was on my walk, how did it actually start? And I think I remember how it started, but I could be wrong. It could have been before this. It was definitely after Frankie. I've never experienced anxiety before. I've never felt anything like that before. This is why it was so alarming to me. So a few weeks after having Frankie, I did lose a lot of blood in birth. Not like loads and loads and loads, but I did lose quite a bit. Like I fainted and everything. I won't go into detail about that because we're not on about birth right now, but yeah. So that goes on then to me having low iron, which you've obviously heard about before if you've watched my channel. If you haven't, then yeah. So I remember I'd had Frankie, I was on iron tablets, but I did stop taking them because the symptoms they give you, like I've said before, if you've watched me, you get stomach cramps, like really bad ones, like nausea, and I just thought, oh, like I'm not doing this anymore. And stupid me, it was a really big mistake and I shouldn't have done it, and I wish now I'd have took them because I've still sort of got the issue now. I remember I went out one day to my mum's. Frankie was still really small, and I was sat in the car driving. I was sat at lights. Obviously we'd stopped and there was cars in front of me, definitely, and I thought I could feel myself rolling back, but I also felt weird in my head, like dizzy. So I actually like put my foot on the brake but the car didn't stop. So I was like, well, I wasn't rolling back then, because usually like if I roll back like now or whatever, I would put my foot on the brake and obviously you'd feel the car just like slowly just like stop. But I didn't feel that, and I was like, I think it's in my mind, or I actually feel really dizzy, which I was like, I shouldn't really be driving, which started to panic me. And then got to my mum's and I was like, yeah, I still don't feel right. I just felt really dizzy, like dizzy spells. And then I looked up about low iron and you can get dizzy spells from it. So I said to my mum, she was like, you better get a doctor. I've just remembered one more thing, get a doctor's appointment for that. So I left and I said to her, I really don't feel right. And she was like, you shouldn't really drive home then, like get somebody to get you. So, because at the time she couldn't take me back. I wasn't living with her at the time, by the way, if you're like, what are you on about? So I had like a 20-minute, 15-minute drive back, and I was panicking the whole way back, because then I started getting like heart palpitations, and I was like, what the hell is going on? So I got back fine, panicking the whole way back. My fingers started tingling, and my feet, like my toes, and I don't know, I went really pale, and my heart was racing like mad. And I remember being so dizzy and feeling so weird, and like I couldn't breathe. I swear my like airways were closing up. I laid on the bed, I cried my eyes out, I rang my mum. I was crying. I wish I had it on record. Pardon me, that's a fizzy pop. FaceTimed my mum and I was like, Mum, I was crying my eyes out. I was like, Mum, something's definitely not right with me. I feel like I'm gonna die. What the hell? So she said, look, if you're really feeling that bad, ring an ambulance, because my mum's quite like a worrier. Well, I'm a worrier too. She was like, just ring an ambulance, because I was like crying my eyes out, and like, I never cry if I'm ill. I really didn't feel right. I've never felt like that ever again since. So yeah. So I did actually ring 999, and I was like, look, I really don't feel well. I feel like I can't breathe. I feel like my airways are closing, and the ambulance came round straight away, like pretty quick. They checked my oxygen, they said I'm fine, but they said my heart, I think I had like a tiny bit of like a high heart rate. My breathing was fine, I think. They did like all the checks and stuff, but they said we're going to take you in anyway, because they said you look really pale. And I said, yeah, I definitely don't feel right. But to be fair, the moment the ambulance arrived, my symptoms sort of like slowed down and sort of stopped. So I was thinking, this is a bit weird. But I never ever thought anxiety, like I didn't put two and two together. I just assumed it was the iron, and because I'd had Frankie, I'd never experienced anxiety before, so I didn't know. So they took me in, and I was in there probably about 6 hours in like, not A&E, but like the room off of A&E, where you're like, there's just like loads of seats with like a curtain in between. Not a bed, just like a seat, and like they brought over an iron drip, because, I'm going to say it, because they did bloods, and they were like, your iron's like the tiniest bit low. No, it was very low, that was it. Really low. It was 9, I think, or 11. No, 11. So they said, we're going to do the iron infusion. I was like, look, I'm more than happy for you to do it, because to be fair, it won't give you any like side effects usually, and I don't want to be on the tablets. So they did that. So it was like an intravenous like thing, so it goes through your vein. I think they put it in my hand, which I hate. And yeah, it was fine. It literally just looked like a bag of like dark red blood basically, but obviously it's just iron. And I said, look, well, I feel weird. And this is when I started googling things like intravenous infusion of iron side effects, and it came up saying you might feel a little bit like sick, or you could get a couple of flu-like symptoms. And then it said if you've got an allergic reaction to iron, you'll have like anaphylactic shock, or whatever it's called. I don't know if I said that right. Is it anaphylactic shock? Yeah. So I was like, oh my god, like something else to worry about. So I went home after that. I left the hospital. Even just thinking about it, my chest is going tight. So I went home after that, and they give me more. No, they didn't give me more tablets. I went home and I felt okay. I woke up the next morning and I felt really flu-y. Like I had the flu. I literally thought I had the flu. I did a COVID test and it was negative, because it was about the time when COVID was like sort of just finishing. You know what I mean? So I took a COVID test and it was negative. But I was like sweating out, and the shivers I was having, like it was crazy. I I had a headache and I was just boiling hot, and I took my temperature like all the time and it was like really high, like 39. So 38, 39. So yeah, I didn't really think anything of it. I thought, oh well, it's probably the flu-like symptoms from the drip. I didn't have like a runny nose, a cough, sneezing, like anything like that. I had a headache, but I just thought, oh, like I'm fine. So the next morning I still felt the same. So I took myself to the doctors and I said, I really don't feel right. And they said, like, I think you've got an iron overload, because they took my bloods again, and then like a day later I got the results and they were like, your iron's like really high now, like over the normal rate. It was like, I think it was like over 100 or something, and that's like normal, but they said it's a little bit high actually for you, considering you've had a baby and now they've put iron back into you. And I was like, I said, well, how have I got an iron overload if my iron was so low they had to give me the drip, and now I've got like an overload? Like, it can't have been that low. It didn't like add up. So I left that day and I just, well, I wasn't on tablets anymore. I had the drip and I just said, look, well, I knew I was going to get periods again soon, so I thought, well, I'm going to lose a bit of iron anyway. Yeah, so I think like 2 weeks later or something, we went to Weymouth. So it was like probably like 6 weeks or 7 weeks after having Frankie. We went to Weymouth, and then, yeah, it was in June, so it was like 2 months after having Frankie, so it was quite soon, like early on from birth. And I felt okay. We went to Weymouth, and then, you know that ride in like a fairground, not like a ride in like a theme park, but like a fairground ride. It's like a row of seats. You could probably get like 10 people on there, or 12 maybe. And it just like goes like round in a circle, and then it gets like faster and faster. Well, I went, if you know what I mean, bit random. Well, I went on that in Weymouth, and I don't know if it was like the anxiety like starting to come out of his shell, or if it was like me after having a baby, like a little bit tender and like vulnerable to go on something like that after just having a baby, with the blood loss and everything. I don't know, but I came off and I was so dizzy the next day, like dizzy, like really bad, like vertigo. And the next day, no, yeah, a day after that we were leaving, and I felt really, really unwell, like really, really odd. I was waking up in the night when we got home, like feeling like I couldn't breathe. My chest was really tight, and like I felt like I was having a heart attack. Because the thing is, this is when I started Googling, and Googling, guys, is the worst thing you can do. Don't get me wrong, I still Google to this day. If I get like a sickness bug, food poisoning, or like a flu or cold, I'll Google. Or if I just get like a random like stomachache or a headache in like the wrong place, like over my eye, which is probably sinus, I'll Google, and I'm like, symptoms of a sinus infection, symptoms of a kidney infection, symptoms of food poisoning, norovirus. And it is the wrong thing to do, because you work yourself up. You're like, I need to get an ambulance. But this is how I got into this rut. And yeah, so that night that happened, I just felt really odd again. And then the next morning I phoned the doctors again, and I said, look, I don't know what's going on. And I think he was the one who said, do you think perhaps you've got anxiety? And I was like, well, I've never ever had that before. And I just got on with my day. He said, see how you feel. And then, oh no, me and my mum were going out that night for like a few drinks down in Bristol at the harbour side, and I was crying. I said to my mum, I'm not going to be able to go, like I'm so dizzy, the room is just like spinning when I'm sat down. And this is when she said, you need to phone the doctors and get a tablet or something, because like I couldn't like go on like it, and it was like every couple of minutes it would come back. So we got the doctor's appointment that day, and they give me some tablets. I still got some in my cupboard now because I didn't use them all, and they really do work for vertigo and like car sickness. I think they're like travel tablets, if you know what I mean. They did stop it, and it just like wore off gradually, and I've never had it since, like as bad as that. Never had it. But oh yeah, and then this is quite a long story. I'm trying to remember what happened after that. Yeah, so I think a few weeks after that, the vertigo wasn't as bad. I remember laying in bed and the room was spinning. I was like, I can't get up. And I had to like lay, like when I was in bed trying to go to sleep, I'd have to like sit up I wouldn't be able to lie down because honestly the room would just start spinning like mad. It was really frightening, to be fair. And then this is when it got worse. So like a couple months later, I don't know if this was related to that or if I just had like a hormonal imbalance of having a baby, or my periods that had come back, because they were quite bad in the beginning of when you have a baby. They're quite like heavy and painful, definitely painful, like really painful. So I remember a time where I was having headaches every single day for 2 weeks, and this is hand on heart, I am not even lying. I would wake up with a headache every day. It was 2 weeks, because I phoned the doctors and I said, this isn't right, like I'm having a headache every single day. And this is when I went to the doctors, and they give me amitriptyline, which used to be an antidepressant, but it's now like a cure for headaches, like migraine headaches and tension headaches. So I was on them for about 10-12 months, and then I came off them because I don't know whether it was me just eating more, or like a lot more and not moving, or if it was the tablets, because I just like gained quite a bit of weight. And then I was like, that didn't stop me taking them. The headaches had gone anyway, and I said to my mum, I'm just gonna like wean myself off these tablets, because like, to be fair, I don't really like taking any sort of like tablet like that. I'll take my like general paracetamol, like ibuprofen, codeine if I needed it, but anything like that, I'm like a bit odd. So like, you don't know what's doing to you at the end of the day. I'm like quite like that with things like that. But yeah, so it worked. I didn't have headaches. And then what happened? This is where I'm going like, what happened? Oh yeah, that was it. This is sort of when the anxiety got to the worst. So I was googling all the time, like headaches. I was googling about that and like symptoms. And I also used to go on a lot Mumsnet. I would go on it probably anyway, even if I didn't have a child, because it was just such a good, like, it's a bit like Tattle, if you know what Tattle is. It's like a forum where like loads of people just like they share something. It's like a Facebook post really, like people commenting underneath with their advice. And yeah, it was good. I would put on there like Mumsnet tension headaches, and then like someone else would like say about how they've been feeling, and then it like gives you a bit of like, it's something to relate to. So I would sort of feel like this is normal. But one night it was so bad that I was led there in bed, and I was like, my heart's pounding and I don't feel right, and it starts like racing, your chest goes really tight, and I just felt like I couldn't breathe again. And I was like, I felt like my hands were going like, I couldn't feel them, like my fingers. So I went into the bathroom. I remember looking in the mirror, and I could swear, this is how bad anxiety brainwashes you, because I would put money on it that my lips were blue. And I went back into the room and I was like, do my lips look blue? And Jake was like, no. And I was like, I'm telling you now, I'm having a heart attack. Because this is when I googled and I was like, I'm having a heart attack. But you genuinely believe it? I said, Jake, something's going on. He was like, there's nothing wrong with you. I was like, I'm telling you now, I'm going to stop breathing. So he was like, well, he helped me. But then he was like, this is silly. Because it was like constant. So then I said, I'm taking myself to hospital. So I drove myself into A&E, and I went up to the desk and I said to the woman, I'm just really not feeling right. I feel like I'm really short of breath. And, oh, before I finish this part, in 2021, when I had Frankie, the year I had Frankie, it was like in the August. This is when like the Love Island was on. So I remember I was watching Love Island around my mum's with my sister and Frankie. And it was the Love Island, like Lucinda, Faye, Millie, and I was watching it, and I remember I said to my mum, I just feel like I can't breathe properly. And this is also the time when my gums started flaring up. This is going to be quite a long video, which I'll go into in a second. So that was one part as well, probably just before the hospital. So I went to the hospital, they took me through, and I was still Googling like heart attack symptoms, and I was sat there and I was thinking, I'm having a heart attack, like I'm gonna have a heart attack, and I believed it. So they took me through to like triage, and the woman checked my oxygen. She was like, it's 99%. She was like, you couldn't have better oxygen. And I was like, yeah, but I can't breathe. And she was like, you can though. And then she said, look, you've either got anxiety or like a viral infection. And I said, well, what do you reckon? She was like, I think it's anxiety. And from that moment on, I just like I googled anxiety symptoms, and there's like a massive page on the NHS, I think, like stating all of it, like headaches, dizzy, like feeling weak, chest tightness, shortness of breath. But it's like, it's not real, like it's not happening. Your oxygen doesn't go down. You slow your breathing and it like tenses you up, and then you start feeling weird. Sorry with the hand movements, I'm just like explaining it. It's so intense, honestly. So I went home and someone told me to get the Calms tablets, like the lavender ones. They didn't work. The Rescue Remedy anxiety spray that they sell, this is all from like Boots, didn't work. Personally for me, nothing like that helped my anxiety and like health anxiety. Because to be fair, it was anxiety and sort of health anxiety. Like if I got an illness, I would start panicking like mad, like is this normal, like should I be like this? Because I had COVID in 2021 in the October, like after the anxiety, and to be fair, it felt really odd. I was panicking so much, I made myself short of breath, I think, unless that was actually the illness. Yeah, so to cut that part short, that is how it really did like get like to that extent. But yeah, so I had a massive issue with my gums, like a really big issue with my gums. This only stopped about 7 months ago now, 6 months ago. So like I just said, in 2021 my gums started playing up. It was always these. It was never the top, it was only the bottom. Now I might have actually had a bit of gingivitis, I don't know, but it was only these. And they would like, so they would just like go really red. I'll insert a picture. They would go really red, really like aching, like a headache in your teeth, and they just go bright red and like puffy, like a little bit swollen, like around here. That would like swell a little bit over the tooth, and it was like mostly these, a little bit at the front. And I went to the dentist and he said there's nothing wrong with them. You might be grinding your teeth. I think it's called TMJ. It's like a going on that at night, like, but I know I don't do that with my jaw. So I left it, and it just kept coming back. I was getting like every mouthwash, like gingivitis. Google it if you don't know what that is. It's like plaque infection on the gums. It can like get to bacteria and it will like puff your gums up. You need to go see a hygienist, which I actually did do at one point. She cleaned my gums and they felt fine, and then it would just come back. And I was actually at one point crying on the phone to the dentist and the doctor, saying you need to like sort this out because I was in so much pain from it. And when we went to Weymouth in 2022, so last year, a year after when I went the first time with the anxiety, I had it so bad there. That was probably the worst. And I actually went into Boots and got some clove oil, as someone recommended it, and it is vile, and it made me nearly throw up on the beach. But it did like numb the pain. But that is what the photos from Weymouth, that was the worst they've ever been. And from that point onwards, I think, yeah, they were just awful. So it's like it's gone away, because I used every mouthwash, like Listerine, gingivitis. I used Oral Dean from Savers. It's like a bacterial mouth infection mouthwash. Flossing my teeth all the time, brushing my teeth 3 times a day because I thought it would stop it. Using like TPs, but like it's gone now. I've not had it since. I haven't had it for about 6 months, 7 months, and I reckon it was anxiety related or like stress, because I looked online and it says stress can cause like gum inflammation. So that's another issue. So I'm just so glad I'm free of it right now. Honestly, it's a relief telling everyone, because it's gone on for so long. So honestly, I'm here for anyone who's going through it. Message me, ask me for like tips. But to be fair, nothing from like Boots, Superdrug, Tesco, nothing worked. It's just gone away whilst I've removed myself from this stress that I was dealing with. And I'm not gonna like go into who, what, why, how, when, literally. There's loads of things that cause my anxiety, loads of things, and it wasn't the type of anxiety where I'd be like, I can't leave the house to go out, like be frightened to go to the mall. It would just come on. But I still get it now, where like even last week I was crying at my mum's and I was like, I don't know if this is low iron symptoms or anxiety. Like sometimes you don't know between the two, but I would definitely know if I had anxiety over like an illness, like a bug, because like you get nausea from anxiety, and it isn't like, oh my god, I'm gonna throw up. It's just like a horrible like churning feeling, like butterflies, but like horrible ones. This video is 25 minutes long, I can't believe it. But yeah, no, I'm here for anyone. I'm gonna finish this video now because it will go on too long. But I'm here for anyone who's going through health anxiety, same sort of thing, because you do seriously think there's something wrong with you, and it like spreads as well. Like 1 minute it was my head, then it was my stomach, and I'd like ring the doctors and pharmacies all the time, like thinking I have something wrong with me, like urine infections and like backache, but I've got kidney infection, and it is like really not good. But I'm here for anyone. Like always, just drop me a message. I'm so quick at answering, and it is a really tough one. And I got to the point where I was like, I can't deal with this anymore. Like I need to get like something sorted. Like honestly, I was so close to getting like counselling, because obviously with my dad passing as well, that might have had like, and well, it would have had a big impact on my anxiety. So yeah, it is such a like worrying thing, because you genuinely like me, I took myself to hospital, and deep down there's nothing wrong with you. You just brainwash yourself to believe there is, and it does affect you. Like I'm just so happy now I haven't got anything like that, and I'm just very grateful, because honestly hated it. It was the worst, one of the, well, not the worst place I've dealt with like mentally, but it really did like affect me, and like really it sort of affected what I did as well. Like I wouldn't go to things if I felt odd there before, or it would put me off. But yeah, anyway, I'm gonna finish this video now. I really hope you've enjoyed it. Well, not enjoyed hearing me like talk about sad and weird things, but it's quite a long story, like, you know. And yeah, I really hope you've learned something from it, and I hope I've helped you in some way, because there's not many like explained things about anxiety, and I feel like it should be, because I'm not going to sit here and lie. That is genuinely all the truth, and I would hate for anyone else to go through it. So please know you're not alone, and I really hope you've loved hearing about it all and can relate. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.